I want to take away Blue Eyes just yet because I want to see them play it, because this is one of my favorite versions of Blue Eyes, because I just really like it. It screams anime theme to me.
Yes.
It is perfect of Battle City, which I think is absolutely amazing. I mean, we can already see it on the title card now. It's Blue Eyes Tombkeeper, Blue Eyes Odeon, Blue Eyes Apophis, however you want to name it. It is actually a 60-card main deck. It's going to be interesting to see who goes first. It looks like D'Angelo claimed or called out the phases. And unfortunately, that hand does not look ideal. It looks like he's opened up 2 Apophis and the Biru, a True Light, and he had to pass. Oh, no.
I guess this does say a little bit of testament to these 60-card decks, right? Although you're trying to like maybe reduce the chance of seeing some of these cards you don't want to see. When you do see them, it's even more devastating.
Yeah, it looks like he opened up a Fuelos, which is actually quite interesting on this one, because Lunalights are one of them decks that pretty much don't really mind, because apart from certain just met with an Ash. Doesn't matter. He's gone. I would say being able to see D'Angelo's hand right now is probably the point. If he's unfamiliar with Lunalights, you watch and see how it combos. You watch and see how the choke points are. If he's already familiar with it and he wants to save time, it might be worth considering going into game 2, because you hold all of the knowledge. The benefit that you will have is going into game 2. You know exactly what your opponent is playing. Your opponent has no idea what you're playing, because all they've seen is a Fuelos and a 60-card deck. So this is still going to be very, very fascinating to see. We're seeing the Gold Leo, an amazing starter off the back of this, coming off of the back of the Silver Hound, working into the Yellow Martin, and I feel we're going to be able to see quite a few pieces going from here. Being able to go for the Black Sheep, grabbing hold of Polymerization, and the resource management, once Lunalights gets going, is completely scary, because it utilizes its graveyard, it utilizes its deck, being able to search many pieces. Yes, of course, it has a glaring weakness to something like Draw and Not Bird, but it does get to just constantly keep going. And like you said, they're here to stay. Once they get there, that Liger Dancer is not really going anywhere.
No, for definite. And I think what you said there just about watching how they'll play and just noting all the cards they'll do. Maybe if you're not so familiar with the cards, just seeing how the deck kind of forms, how the turn plays out. I think it's really important, especially when you've got some of these rounds. When you've got some of these rounds in these longer tournaments, you want to just ensure that you're not making any types of mistakes. You want to make sure that when you're going into that game 2 and that pivotal game 3, that you know exactly what is going to happen, and especially saving this time where, unfortunately, maybe you haven't got everything you want to be doing right now. It's just that little bit more important, especially with Luke seeming to be like just going through all the cards and what steps he's taking here.
Yeah, exactly that. And as you said, it's invaluable, because what you should be doing, I mean, you'll be able to speak a little bit more from experience on this one here, but as you're sitting there as D'Angelo, you're seeing this happen. Are you already going through in your mind what you want to side out, what you want to side in, when to interact? Like, are you already going through your future game plan? If you feel that this game is done and dusted, is it worth taking that into account?
No, for definite. So what I would be thinking about here is not really just about what I'm side decking, but also just how my field and the interrupts that I'm generating, how they're going to interact going into that next game. Because especially where maybe right now he hasn't got too much interaction, but next game hopefully he'll be playing, he'll be getting to a spot where he's able to generate all the types of interruptions that he's aiming for, and then just knowing all of the key points that you need to interrupt. It's not about just interrupting, it's about hitting in those like pivotal moments where if he's able to just like stop maybe access to the Perfume, or the Gold Leo, some of these like really key cards, it seems, that can be an entire game changer.
Yeah, so he is playing something very, very interesting in his side deck. So this is D'Angelo. Now, he's playing a card that I feel is really, really good if you time it correctly against the Lunalight strategy, and that is Retaliating Sea.
Yes.
So Retaliating Sea is a card that's kind of seen a little bit more talk and a bit more popularity due to Dracotales, but as a kind of additional benefit to that, up against Lunalights, it can be very, very powerful. Now, where you can really catch your opponent off guard is when they start to activate spells to summon. So you've got Polymerization already being activated. You've got technically Lunalight Perfume can do the exact same. So there's loads of these cards that will allow that to be facilitated. And that's really where you can kind of catch them off, because the one thing that Lunalights can't really afford to do is allow for their monsters to be banished, because when they're trying to look at stuff like heavy polymerization, yes, polymerization can use the field and the hand, so they can kind of play around it a little bit. A lot of their cards have effects that when they're used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard, you get to resolve X, Y, or Z. And I feel that that could be a very pivotal card that could be coming in for D'Angelo, and it's definitely one that I would be earmarking for this particular matchup, especially when you're looking at the rest of your main deck. He also main decks Contact C, which I think is very, very interesting.
Would you say it's good in this matchup?
So it's good in this matchup if you time it correctly. Now, the reason I say that is we do see that in Luke's deck, he is playing the Cross Sheep. Now, Cross Sheep, as we know, is the generic target that some yummy players are considering to play when they get Contact Seed. The one big benefit that D'Angelo is going to have in this particular matchup is your Retaliating C can search out your Contact C.
Yes.
So you get access to both of those. The other benefit of that one as well is that with Lunalight Silver Hound, it has the effect that if it's sent to the graveyard, you special summon a Lunalight monster from the deck. However, you can't special summon the extra deck except Lunalight monsters. So if D'Angelo was to time the Contact C correctly, so you let Lunalight Silver Hound resolve, brings the monster onto the field, and then Contact C, you really do lock your opponent off, because most of, if not all of the Lunalight fusion monsters require you to use Lunalight monsters to make them. So when you're then Contact C, they have no option to work itself around.
So what we've seen here is D'Angelo has now got a Nibiru, the Primal Being. Do you think it was worth him interrupting at this point where he's got Perfume Dancer on the field? I guess you don't really want to hold it too long, right? Because otherwise they can just get to that big boss fusion monster, and it's just kind of over at that point. You can't use the Nibiru to its full effect.
Yeah, I feel, again, he still played it very, very well. And this is the one big benefit about not kind of conceding the game too early. I agree with you. Luke still has a lot of cards to push through here. And just trying to have a look at D'Angelo's main deck, I'm trying to see if there is any natural way to out a Liger Dancer. Because what you're already doing here is you're trying to test your opponent. You're testing Luke to see, does he know how to go down the routes of playing around? And Nibiru, does he know the routes of where he can go? If he does get Nibiru, what does he end with? Now, and the benefit with D'Angelo is, because he hasn't given up, he's got that ability to not only gain that knowledge, but also has the ability to then try and play the next turn. If the draw for turn for D'Angelo is not ideal, again, I still feel you're in a position where you go, okay, move to the next one.
Yep, so we're going to see Tyking here come down to get to Tenki. Again, just further extending the plays here, we've already seen the Yellow Martin bounce back the Tiger. So again, we're just going to keep seeing where Luke is going to take the rest of this turn, especially going second. Are you able to push for that finisher here, really?
Yeah, it's exactly that. The one pivotal thing that you do need, and this is where we're going to be able to see it now, because of polymerization and now being able to utilize the Lunalight Masquerade, you can use the graveyard as your fusion material, and that's where you want your Leo Dancer, because the Leo Dancer is now going to lead you into your Liger Dancer. The Liger Dancer is going to have that ability, quick effect, destroy that Nibiru off the field. We've then got the ability of utilizing the Liger Dancer to get huge amounts of damage onto against D'Angelo, which is going to cause a lot of issues, because it does allow the ability to make a second attack during each battle phase. Ultimately, I feel this is going to be like the OTK game, unless D'Angelo has something else. But I feel at this point, once Liger Dancer hits the field, there's nothing more you're really doing.
Yeah.
And again, he's still testing his opponent. This is just like a good example of why don't concede unless you feel you absolutely have to, or you have nothing else. If you do have that odd Nibiru, it's worth kind of going. And now's the point where he goes, right, pack it up, keep all of that information that he has secure to himself. So Luke is going to be going into this side deck in blind. All he knows is that his opponent plays Nibiru and his opponent plays Furlos. So when we're looking at... I would be very, very impressed if he does that. Very, very impressed.
But yeah, we're going straight into game 2 now. And from the facial language, I'm going to say D'Angelo starting Perulia here. How do you think that affects the matchup?
Perulia is quite interesting, because in the Blue Eyes matchup, you can summon from the hand like 2 to 3 times.
Yep.
It also depends on what they've opened up. So it looks like we're going to be starting off with the Apophis Judge. This is going to go direct access to grab Man with the Mark. That will give Luke a guaranteed draw, because going off of the last Judge, search out the Man with the Mark, normal summon down the Man with the Mark. This will then search, or attempt to search, the Temple of the Kings, Treasures of the Kings to be exact. what you're trying to gain access here is you're trying to gain access to Temple of Kings that allows you to activate your trap cards the turn they're set. And that's just going to allow you to steamroll a little bit more to give you a bit more field presence. Because I feel the trade-off that you're going to need to do here with D'Angelo is you're going to need to trade off with your non-target negations. But I feel against Lunalights, you also kind of want to remove their cards as well. Like you kind of want to negate their spells and traps. You don't really want to negate their monsters, so to say, because they want to be everywhere. They can use their graveyard effects. They can be returned from the field to the hand. There's just so much more that they can do. So
from the looks of it, Luke seems to have also already hit a Drone Lockbird, which, again, from your perspective, do you think that's something you should be dropping now, or do you want to just get a few more draws out of them and see what happens?
I feel at this position here, I don't feel that D'Angelo is going to lean into that Prulia much more. He's got the Temple of Kings. He's got 2 cards set. He's going to use Treasures to set another card from the deck. There is no real need, unless he can get another monster to the field, to go into the extra deck. I feel, if anything, Luke is probably contemplating if it's worth using Droll or allow him to still have the ability to draw off the back of Prulia.
I guess it depends on how strong the hand feels. I saw a copy of Dark Ruler No More, which I'm not too sure how strong that is in this matchup. And then, obviously, there's already a Tiger. I think it's a Gold Leo I saw already. So it's already got a couple of engine pieces there. So it just depends if he feels like you need to see additional cards in that.
Yeah, it looks like D'Angelo is actually going to try to lean into the Prulia a little bit more, because he did decide to add the Serket. Now, Serket is a card that can summon itself from the hand by banishing a level 10 monster from the deck. Being able to activate Temple of the Kings, he can activate the Apophis, the Serpent, directly straight away the turn it's set. This is going to lead into the additional Apophis, which is the non-target negate up to the number of face-up continuous trap cards that you have on the field. Remembering that both the Apophis monsters serve themselves as continuous trap cards. You can also get the benefit of contact fusing both these trap cards off to go into the amazing Divine Serpent Apophis, which lets you reset those 2 trap cards again.
Really good.
It's absolutely insane. And what you're doing here is, again, you're getting another monster on the field, which, if you want to keep it on the field, you have the ability that if a trap card is activated, you get to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. But another really good card that works with continuous trap cards that want to treat themselves as monsters is the Silo Hat Hair Rabbit. So I would probably assume we're going to see the Man with the Mark maybe linked off here with the Apophis, unless he is worried about a field breaker, because the Man with the Mark does protect his Apophis cards and Treasure of the Kings from being destroyed by card effects. So there's a lot of little intricate kind of moments here of trying to protect, trying to predict, without trying to give Luke as much advantage as possible. Yeah,
I think it's really key as well, because just from the looks of it, Luke just doesn't really know what's going on either. And I think that's being able to just make sure there's not too many cards that are being activated so that being summoned from the hand, so that Prulia is not drawing those additional cards. Luke doesn't have too much to work with, and then he's also on the back foot of what's going on. And I think that's, again, we were talking about it just a minute ago, where Luke was playing all of these cards and D'Angelo was just like taking note of what's happening, making sure he could play the best as he could, and then storing that knowledge for future games. And I think that's going to be really advantageous here.
Yeah, exactly that. And I feel that D'Angelo has kind of lent more. So the early activation of the Apophis Serpent is going to give him access to a second Apophis, which can be used this turn. So ultimately what we're looking at now is we know that 2 of those set cards are going to be the Swamp Deity. Now, the Swamp Deity is going to give the ability to negate the effects of face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of other continuous trap cards you control. So at this exact moment in time, if he was to activate 1, for example, he'll be able to negate 2. He'll also get the ability off the back of the Divine Serpent to destroy a card. So it's really going to come down to what Luke is going to activate. Now, we have seen that Luke has Dark Rule No More in the hand. In this scenario, not going to be that effective. Starting off with the Gold Leo, this is possibly a point where you might want to negate his effects. And then you can also, if you do so choose to, use the Divine Serpent to destroy it, which might be quite important, because getting that Gold Leo off the field means that its first effect is negated and its second effect is also not going to be able to resolve to be able to add like a Lunalight, and that's where your resource loop starts to go. Yeah,
and I think, again, with like verse decks such as Lunalights, you kind of just want to starve them from that initial bit, right? Because once they start getting momentum, it's really, really hard to interrupt with them. So I don't hate this choice from D'Angelo. Obviously, I think there is a Tiger in the hand. But again, if the first effect has been negated, not so sure how important that is here. Dark Ruler No More. Does D'Angelo care too much?
I don't think it's the biggest loss on this one, but it does stop the Divine Serpent Apophis being able to destroy another card. So we're chaining 1 here. It looks like, very interesting, is he going to, are we valuing It does look like we're valuing the Apophis Destruction, which is quite interesting here to negate the Dark Ruler. Here comes Tiger. I would have thought that the Tiger would have been something you might want to negate, but I suppose if it gets to return to the field, we're just going to be back in the same position.
Yep.
We do have DD Crow, though, actually.
Oh,
I believe the Android does have a DD Crow in the hand.
That's incredible.
So this might actually be the turn ender here.
Yeah.
Because if we're trying to bring back the Gold Leo, we DD Crow the Gold Leo, and then that field is still very, very powerful. Just trying to see if he plays 2 of the Divine Serpents. No, so he only plays the one Divine Serpent. You still have the option to go into Scylla Hat Rabbit. We still have the Spirit with Eyes of Blue. So I think the DD Crow is actually quite massive here.
Do these continuous traps have any good stats on them?
They actually do. So the Swamp Deity is annoyingly strong. So the Swamp Deity is 2,000 attack and 2,200 defense. The other Divine Serpent, not so great, but it's still like 1,800 attack stat, 1,800 defender, I believe. Yeah, 1,600 attack and 1,800 defense. So with an empty field, switching these all to attack.
It's not the worst outcome, really, is it, when you think about it? And there is a potential for it to just be enough for that game. Heavy polymerization.
This is a very big card that I wish D'Angelo. I think D'Angelo wish he could have stopped. But how big is Luke going to lead into this? The cost might be worth it because you're trying to get into your Liger Dancer. And again, as we've said before, if you get into Liger Dancer, as long as you don't lose all of your life points, you probably don't mind how much you pay.
So the thing is here is obviously the Dark Ruler no more has resolved. Oh no, it got negated, didn't it?
It did get negated,
So is there a chance that Luke's able to be very aggressive here and then swing for a game shot potentially?
So the difference with this one is it won't be a game shot because well, would it be a game shot? Because you would activate it. The Liger Dancer will destroy all special monsters. So the Man with the Mark will still stay, but the benefit that the Man with the Mark does provide is the Man with the Mark, while you control Templars of Kings, which he currently does, this card and the Apophis monsters can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. So the Liger Dancer won't be able to clear it off. It'll have to kill or destroy by battle the Man with the Mark, and then follow up with the effect to destroy. But even then, you can't destroy the Man with the Mark because you've got Treasures of the King. So we're basically just going into a bit of a wall here.
He's got 500 life points left here, Luke O'Connor.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if there is any way that D'Angelo gets over anything here.
I guess the thing here is this Liger Dancer. It's big and it's unaffected. Just as we were talking about, it's kind of like King on the Hill. Just can you actually deal with it? And we're just not sure now. So we're just going to have to see how D'Angelo is able to navigate this turn.
Now, I'm trying to see what else is in D'Angelo's extra deck. The only card that is strong enough in the extra deck to deal with this is a Neo Blue Eyes Armored Dragon. I don't think we're on 3 Blue Eyes, unfortunately. We're only on 2. That would have been an absolute game changer. Just trying to see what else we could possibly have here. Because now this is just going to become what I would say a very, very big grind game. And what I mean by that is we could put Man with the Mark into defense position. And then we are just walling up turn after turn until there is a way. I can't imagine Luke puts a monster on the field that is weak to get attacked over.
No, definitely not. I guess where I sit right now, just from my perspective, it feels like Luke is almost waiting for another copy of like maybe Dark Ruler No More, just to negate everything that's currently on the field, then use the Liger Dancer to destroy everything now that it's not protected, and then the turn after, maybe that's when we get the game shot.
Now, this could be very interesting. It has to go into defense position. It's not as interesting. I was like, is there a way that D'Angelo can give his opponent a monster? Like, that's the way to do it. What is it? The link to, is it Geoversa?
Transversa, yes.
Transversa.
Geonator,
yes. That could be a very, very interesting one here. We have Ancient Fairy Dragon in the extra there, but all that will do is gain life points and swap the field spells around.
I don't really see anything here that's going to get us over the Liger Dancer. But maybe D'Angelo has something up his sleeve that we don't know about. I'm just going to have to see how they decide to navigate the rest of this game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very, very interesting because I feel that in this position here, D'Angelo just sets cards pass. I feel that Luke could use the second he uses that the Tiger Dancer, to revive from the graveyard.
Yes,
You have to revive into defense position. you can still present your field. I would still be putting the cards into defense position until I can work my way into a second Liger Dancer, because if you leave anything open, you are asking for trouble. Treasure the Kings keeps setting. There's not really much more you can do off of the back of that.
Yeah, especially with all your zones like kind of locked up almost as well, right?
We've got Super Polymerization. What can we go? Mud Dragon, Garura.
You can't use the Liger Dancer, correct? Or
No,
so,
can't use Liger Dancer. God, that would be so good.
Yeah.
He has his own Dark Rule no more. That doesn't really trade.
Do anything else, right?
Dimension
so we're kind of at like an impasse almost, right?
We are at a very, very big impasse. Because I feel like, what's the saying? What happens when a destructive force meets an immovable object? I think that's exactly what we're seeing here.
So it looks like Luke is going to start making a play. Does the Liger Dancer destroy everything on the field, or is it just your opponent's side?
It's all special summon monsters on your opponent's field.
Because the only other thing I could think of there was maybe if he's like trying to force his way into like maybe an SP Little Knight, and then go from there and then remove the Man with the Mark and then try and remove the SP afterwards without taking any life point damage.
Yeah.
The thing is that's 500 life points. It's pretty scary.
I think that's what we might be going for here. I think you called it pretty much correctly. So use the Almirage, use the Gold Leo, go into SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight, target the Man with the Mark, clear the Man with the Mark off the field, activate the Liger Dancer, destroy all special summon monsters, and then go from there. But has D'Angelo got an answer here? Ooh, Imperm?
Okay.
Is there something else to come from this?
Does the fusion monster, does it?
Yeah, if a trap card is activated. Okay. Yeah, so it's any trap card. Target a card your opponent tries and destroy it. Very, very interesting here. So are we going to trade off the Almirage? So the Almirage contribute out to protect?
Yeah, it just depends which one he's going to decide to destroy here. I think if you're Luke, you kind of want them to hit that God Leo, right? Because then you can always just tribute the Almirage, protect the Liger Dancer, and then get back at no monsters, right?
I would probably try and get rid of the Almirage, because the Almirage is the extra deck monster. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. From Luke's side, you're hoping that they get rid of the Gold Leo.
Correct, yeah, exactly.
From D'Angelo's side, yeah, you have to get rid of that Almirage there.
So what else do we have as an extra deck monster? Because you definitely don't want to be linking off that Liger Dancer. How desperate do you want it?
The other thing is here, right? Now, Luke has also used his normal summon.
Yeah, correct.
So there isn't really much I can imagine.
No, so this is very risky.
Here.
So this is the risk and reward, because we've tried to make that play. It's been stopped. You now have a Gold Leo stuck in attack. Now, the only thing you need is 500 life points. Now, unfortunately, Gold Leo's attack is only 600.
Yeah.
So when it's staring down a couple of swamp deities and even a Man with a Mark, but it won't be enough to get the game swinger over that.
It's still just big enough, right?
Yeah. Any of the Apophis monsters switch to attack will deal with this. Go for a second heavy polarization.
So you can use the stuff on the field as well.
So you use from your extra, using 3 or more monsters from your hand or field as material. You get to also banish monsters from the extra as material up to number of monsters your opponent controls, but you lose life points equal to the total attack. So if he has
looks like that was an illegal activation, I think. There.
Banish monsters from the extra as material up to the number of monsters your opponent controls. Fusion summon a fusion monster from the extra deck. Yeah, so you kind of need to use field and hand.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can't afford to pay any life points.
Yeah, so it looks like D'Angelo might just be able to like run away this game now.
Yeah.
Which, in all honesty, I thought it was going to be a bit of an impasse, and then
agreed.
Luke was going to steal it at some point. But yeah, so it looks like that's just about enough to seal the game away.
D'Angelo did very, very well there. He held his own, and so he didn't even flinch from the Liger Dancer here. And this was very interesting, because it was a weird scenario where it wasn't really... Well, it kind of was in D'Angelo's control, because he had the full defense lineup. And it kind of put his opponent in a position where either the kind of general interactions...
Yes.
I think we agree that the Contact C and Retaliant C are no-brainers, and it looks like we're opening up here. D'Angelo is going second, and he's opened up with what looks like a Fuelos,
I think it's
Blue Eyes Ultimate Fusion, a trap card, which is infinite impermanence, straight on the gold Leo. No breather on that one there, not letting Luke get started at all.
I think that's the correct play as well. I think, like I've been saying, you just want to stop them in their tracks. You just kind of want to like throw your resources at them just to try and just like not get into that little bit of the mid-range where like, mid-game even, sorry, kind of similar to Malice, where like if you don't stop them early in the mid-game, they'll just keep like running away with their turn and you haven't really got much you can do about it.
Yeah, I do think it's very, very interesting. I think that's why Ghost Ogre kind of has one of these moments where it comes in and out of the format, because I feel that's why Gamma is currently at 1, because negating a card and removing it from the field was always too powerful. And that's what I like about Ghost Ogre, because Ghost Ogre says you can have your effect, but you're not allowed to stay on the field. And on the flip side to that, you have stuff like Imperms and Veilers that say you're not going to have your effect, but you can stay on the field. And I feel when you're trying to remove those particular cards, especially when they have double effects like Gold Leo, the Ghost Ogre is not a bad thing to do. So an Imperm is just as effective here. Maybe it wasn't a Fool Loss, because I'd like to think if there was a Fool Loss, we would have used it by now. Do
you think it might be any of the Blue Eyes cards potentially? Maybe just in that secret rarity.
Yeah, quite possibly. It could very well be a Maiden. That would probably be the most logical option on that one, or a secret rare Effect Veiler. But I feel that an Effect Veiler may have been used here on the Perfume to make sure that that doesn't get to return. And I feel this is where the resilience of the Lunalights is really going to come into check. And what I do find very, very interesting, this is the risk of going against Lunalights, is it's so tricky to break the field after the fact. Like unless you're going to be playing a Kaiju or a card that can remove an unaffected monster like that. So then you really are hoping more that your opening hand is just that good.
Which is just that little bit harder in the 60 card deck as well.
Exactly that,
but I think obviously here we're seeing the Yellow Marson hit the Grave, we're seeing the Perfume now, most likely going to add the Tiger as well, I'd say. And I think it's just one of those games where he is just going to get to that Liger Dancer. Is he going to get to a second Liger Dancer? Maybe as well. And then at that point, D'Angelo just has to kind of fight his way through and see if we can kind of get into the same sort of game state as game 1, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit tricky. I think Luke definitely would have learned his lesson from the first one. So with heavy polymerization, understandably so, in game 2, he used heavy polymerization and lent into it as the game ender option, which is why he paid so many life points for it. I feel now that he definitely doesn't need to pay that many life points for the access to Liger Dancer. Just seeing, it looks like there's a Blue Eyes, there's a Sage with Eyes of Blue, there's a Maiden, there's a Blue Eyes Ultimate Fusion, and then one other spell card, which I don't know, like...
Which one it could be.
What it could be, yeah, I mean...
What I do want to see here is I just want to see Luke's reaction if he sees the Blue Eyes cards appearing. Just to see if he would have had that on his cards here. But yeah, just going to use Yellow Marson to return the Tiger back to the hand, trigger the cross sheep. One of my favorite cards in the game. Just being able to get that additional monster on the field here.
It looks so cute, peaceful, and innocent, yet it does so much. The fusion one is always used, like every single time. And everyone forgets about the ritual one is your draw power, the synchro one is attack reduction or debuff, and then the XZ is the opposite to the synchro, which is just incredible to think. And especially when you can play a deck that goes, I can play all these Omni X styles, you kind of use it in its best possible outcome, which is really, really nice to see. And I think what a lot of people also forget about the Cross Sheep is that the Cross Sheep will trigger when a monster is summoned to its zone. However, it doesn't need to be that particular type of monster to trigger the effect. So what I mean by that is, because the Cross Sheep was already pointing to a fusion monster, it doesn't matter what is summoned to the zone, it still triggers as to what it points to at that particular period in time. So as we saw, you can make Cross Sheep later on, make sure it points to a fusion monster, summon a monster to Cross Sheep zone, and then still get the revival.
Still get some incredible value out of it. I think the ritual one is definitely the most forgotten and slept on. I'm really hoping that when the Megalith cards come up soon, that I can do something, make something really cool happen. That's my hope here.
So the Megalith is quite like to be able to ritual something from the hand and from the grave and everything else in between. So being able to loop that resource, like the draw 2, discard 2, is not a negative to it.
Exactly. So we're just going to see Luke think a little bit here. Got a little bit more value out of that Tiger as you want to see. And as we say, just aiming for that first Liger Dancer and then push into that second one here.
I think ultimately the question kind of comes down to, we saw it in game number 1 when the Biru kind of scuppered Luke's plans. So you have to hold back certain amounts of resources. I feel that maybe a Nibiru would have come down prior to the Kaleido Chip, because Kaleido Chip is what's going to give you access to the Leo Dancer, and the Leo Dancer leads you into the Liger Dancer. The one big difference here as well is we haven't seen Lunalight Masquerade, so we won't be able to use polymerization to use the materials from the graveyard. But we're just going to do it the good old-fashioned hard way, turn the Kaleido Chick into the name of Leo Dancer, and then work our way into the Liger Dancer.
So it looks like they used four bodies there. Does Liger Dancer get any additional effects based on the amount of materials used, or
no? It's just a very, very costly, fusion summon. So it does require
it's free.
Leo Dancer plus free. Which honestly I don't mind, because if that was anything less, I would have been shocked.
Yeah, it's the risk versus reward, I guess. You're just getting so much value out of it, even if it feels like you're trading quite a lot into it, I would say.
Yeah, exactly that. So we're going to be starting off with Sage Advisor Blue. This is the other kind of very interesting thing when it comes to the Lunalights, is the Lunalights themselves, they don't really have any hidden activations on the field.
Yes,
It is as simple as Liger Dancer will destroy all your special summon monsters at one point when I choose to do so. So D'Angelo can play here, and like you said, the look on Luke's face when Blue Eyes was more so like, oh,
that's there.
There's Blue Eyes in there as well.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking here is really, from D'Angelo's standpoint, there isn't really too much to worry about. It's just like trying to trade into that Liger Dancer to destroy all the special summon monsters just as efficiently as possible, right?
Yeah, this draw on Lockbird is actually pretty huge here. So starting off with your Sage, D'Angelo does already open up with the Maiden, which can kind of be telegraphed a little bit by the fact that we went for the Veiler instead. Exactly. I feel with not being able to get the Search, you're not going to be able to get your additional normal summon. We're probably going to need to utilize the Maiden effect in the hand, exactly what we're going to see here. This will get access to True Light. True Light is then going to attempt to, what I can only imagine, is going to set a card. But the card you're going to want to set is not going to want to be Wishes, as you're under Draw Lockbird. So you're probably going to want to set the Roar with Eyes of Blue. Activate the Roar, bring out the Blue Eyes from the deck, revive the Maiden, and you definitely don't want to be leaving that Sage in attack position. At that particular point there, you're well and truly within the period of Liger Dancer effect, clear the field off, which is very, very damaging. We may have access to the Tyrant Dragon here because we have opened up the Blue Eyes Ultimate Fusion, or Ultimate Fusion. This could then, in theory, work us into Tyrant to regain us a bit of resource, but I don't know how much you really do at this exact moment. So, like, how much resource can you maintain? I feel that we're just in a position where we go True Light, bring back Blue Eyes, bring back Maiden, Liger Dancer, clear off, bit of damage, and then go from there.
Yeah, so we're just in this spot where, like, Luca also just has to make that decision, right? At what point is my Liger Dancer going to activate, and potentially my last interruption of the turn, right? And I guess in my head, this was like a, there we go. It's a pretty good spot to take advantage of that. Being able to wipe out most of D'Angelo's field here.
Yeah, this is still going to be quite effective because as we already know that there's the Ultimate Fusion. We can still work our way into a Synchro monster here because in theory, what we could do is we would go... We could turn the Sage Advisor Blue into the Blue Eyes Spirit Link 1, tribute that off to revive the Blue Eyes back from the graveyard. But it looks like in D'Angelo's extra, he only plays the one Spirit Advisor Blue. So is it worth the risk of not getting the search or access to the field spell for the next... next turn?
It just depends what D'Angelo thinks here, because at the end of the day, based on what's on Luke's side of the field, there might not even be a second turn, really, right? So you just need to, I think you need to go on the aggression here.
Yeah, so I believe we're activating True Light to bring back the Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is going to attack the Cross Sheep to do a decent amount of damage, I guess.
22, right?
We're going to synchro here. Now, do you go to Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon? You probably should, but...
I think so. I think it's just the most efficient way to get some advantage next turn as well, right? But the issue is, I guess, the Liger Dancer can just trigger again, right? Back on Luke's side.
Yeah, once it comes back to Luke's turn, we're just going to trigger it again. Ironically, it's one of those ones where you really wish you had Azure Eyes.
Yes, yeah. That's what I was just thinking, looking at the list, is that Azure Eyes just making it in there or not? But
yeah, I feel that we're going to be... It's going to be less of a grind in this kind of duel than it was in the previous one. because I feel, how would we go? So you go Sage would turn into Blue Eyes Link 1, wouldn't really make it worth the value. We're definitely going to commit to that Synchro Summon. Spirit Dragon goes into defense position. And then what we're really doing here is, unless you early doors activate the Spirit Dragon, which isn't bad, because you could draw phase, activate the Spirit Dragon to tribute itself off and try and bring out the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, which in turn still gets chained with the Liger Dancer. I suppose the best thing for D'Angelo to do here is, with only one Liger Dancer at this moment in time in rotation, you're going to want to put up a wall every time. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to bait out the activation of the Liger Dancer to then in turn use True Light to bring back a Blue Eyes, bring back a Maiden. So you're trying to gain your resource that way. Ooh, I'm going with a wolf.
Here is very, very strong here, isn't it?
Yeah, because we already have the Leo Dancer in the graveyard, correct? Like, we haven't banished the materials.
So. Yeah, I think they're all in the graveyard currently. So yeah, again, this could just be, again, exactly what we don't want to see. The second Liger Dancer. Do you think Luke maybe should have just shotgunned the Liger Dancer there, or...?
I don't think it makes a huge difference here. I think we're still going to resolve the wolf. The wolf still... We chaining the Liger Dancer here. So I believe what's happened is Wolf's been activated. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Wolf's been activated. Hasn't used its effect to banish the fuse yet.
Yes.
We've tagged out the Spirit Dragon to go into the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. We're now attempting to use the effect of Wolf, and in turn using the effect of the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon to target to negate the Wolf, and then the Liger Dancer is going to resolve to destroy, and this is going to wall up back into the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon.
Okay. And then, correct me if I'm wrong on my side, the Spirit Dragon can tag out again, is it? Or is it what hard?
No, so Spirit Dragon has to be Synchro Summoned, so as it's being brought back, it's Special Summon, not a Synchro. So yeah, unfortunately that's not going to happen, but
I guess D'Angelo has kind of insulated himself here just to not potentially lose the game on this turn, right?
He's definitely he's going to be able to present a bit of a wall here, because we're going to be able to get the Maiden plus the Blue Eyes. With the Wolf not being able to get exactly where Luke wants to go, which would be a second Liger Dancer, because then the Liger Dancer would then get the effect to kind of like destroy the field again, because unbelievably so to me. It looks like the Liger Dancer's, the Wolf's going to be able to resolve here. Yeah, so this is then going to be able to get access to... We're just trying to get clarification of what's going on here, but I feel the Wolf was going to resolve. Like, where do we get to with the Blue Eyes Ultimate? Oh, okay. So I think D'Angelo is saying that he's got something else in resolution here. So we're going to use the Ultimate Fusion. This is quite interesting, actually, because the Ultimate Fusion is going to use the Blue Eyes on the field, in turn giving him the ability to destroy a card on the field, which I believe will be Wolf in this scenario. Yeah. So he's really trying to suffocate Luke getting into that second LUNALIGHT. And just looking at the clock now as well, there's only 55 seconds left. Which
is very, very tough for...
Yeah, very tough, because I can't see... He's already used the Liger Dancer.
Yep.
He's already...
D'Angelo has navigated this very well, actually.
Yeah, I think he's directly kind of pinpointed points to stop a second Liger Dancer, points to get the Liger Dancer to utilize its effect.
Yep.
And now we're in a position where there's still one more card unknown and one card in D'Angelo's hands. So he does have that ability to possibly a DD Crow, possibly an Infinite Impermanence. The Liger Dancer can't get enough damage on the board, so on the field, what we're trying to do here from Luke's perspective is he needs to get 3 monsters on the field that are going to be strong enough. And at the moment, you've got a Liger Dancer at 38, which can deal with any of those monsters on the field. You've got a Kaleido chip, which could trade for the Maiden.
Yep.
He then needs another one that is stronger than 3,000 to trade with the Spirit Dragon. And unless there's any extension, that is time. Wow. What a